when we speak of awakening of the Kundalini and the purpose and the methodology applied, we can here view two respective traditions which are also deeply interconnected, that of yoga and Tantra. And we can see how awakening of Kundalini in yoga and Tantra traditions differ and where they overlap in terms of their similarities. So the main difference is that in yoga, or rather yoga places an emphasis on the rising of the Kundalini, which has one way or another primarily goal to adhere and bring about manifestation of psychic powers known as siddhis in Sanskrit. And that is done or achieved through the skillful manipulation of pranic forces, which explains why pranayama is considered to be the chief of the practices with which Hatha Yoga in particular known for. Some other texts, some other traditions that are yoga, there are many, Gerarch, Samhita, there are any, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, of course, that's what Hatha Yoga primarily derives its today's practices when it comes to that. Let's say, I'm not talking about yoga how it is spoken in the West, so please let's not get confused. I'm not talking about various isms of yoga, how they have been adopted to the Western soil. No, we are strictly staying within the traditional understanding, that is. So the breathing to assist in the awakening of the life force, that practices aimed at conscious manipulation / control, emphasis on the breathing, pranayamic practices to ensue and create the possibility where the descending life current, life force, and the ascending life force, or rather the descending and ascending currents, reverse their respective direction and meet in a respective center. In most cases, that is in the stomach, or rather in the not Muladhara, in the solar plexus, which basically known as the seat of the Samana prana or Samana Vayu. Not to go into great length and depth into it, but just to explain that in a normal human being, incoming breath and outgoing breath are the manifestation of apana and prana. When we inhale, it's the activity of the apana, the downward moving breath. And when we exhale, it's the manifestation of the pranic current. But in order to awaken Kundalini, yogis devised these breathing practices where apana reverses its flow and begins to ascend, and prana instead reverses its flow likewise and begins to descend. They meet in the gut, in the solar, in the domain of the seat of the Samana Vayu, Samana Prana, which is known as the metabolic, the pranic force that governs metabolic activity, all digestive processes. It's fiery in nature, you see? If the ascending, descending breath are respective representations of solar and lunar qualities, the Samana here represents fiery quality, and this is what creates combustion. And that combustion sends the vibration down to the chamber where traditionally spoken Kundalini resides, as it were, at the base of the spine, again, metaphysically speaking. And that's what causes sudden and often intense awakening of Kundalini. This is the yogic ways. Tantra, in this case, Trika Shaiva tradition, places an emphasis on Shaktipat, descent of power, literally. And it is either considered to be receiving from a living adept or from Shiva himself, which is again acknowledged but considered to be a more rare event. In any case, the emphasis in terms of practices is on visualization. So tantric practices are actually utilizing the power of visualization, where seeing the Shakti as the manifestation of the goddess embodied as this very physiology. So this is a unique feature of Trika Shaivism, also known as Kashmir Shaivism, where the distinctive feature in comparison with yoga is not, let's say, hitting Shakti with the force as in yoga. That's again using that scholarly language. In fact, it's a scholarly language. That's what these authors themselves, hitting Kundalini with the rod. Instead, it's the descent of grace through Shaktipat, or descent of power, which facilitates the awakening of the life force and proceeding unfoldment in a similar fashion now, similar manner as in the case with yogic practices, that what results in that rise of the power to the point of a sublimation with the source. So the importance of the visualization here is directly related to the work we do and to the work that is more emphatically this work is known for, let's say, because the understanding is governed by the understanding that in this body is considered to be a distilled bliss, and bondage is simply the lack of that awareness. So awakening on the gradual surge of bliss and expansion of consciousness at the somatic level is what gives rise to that whole totality of experience, the whole totality of being one with the universe whilst being in the body. So in other words, you see, now in contrast, let's say with, excuse me, I think it's my Siri kicked in. Just got to disable it in time.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Sorry, Siri. So this, let's say another analogy, a comparative analogy. In other words, if we are to compare now this tantric perspective, which views the body as the embodiment of bliss, and the only difference is that one is not aware of that, is could be seen in contrast to these practices where the body is seen through or dismissed as an appearance in consciousness, let's say as it is often emphasized in Advaita Vedanta. Tantric approach here sees the goddess or this absolute as immanent, and the embodied existence here as manifestation of a goddess in all her various apostasises, if we are to use that term. So in other words, this tantric understanding here is that there is no need for transcendence either or. So the transcendence, immanence, and embodied experience are seen as fused. And that's the value of the work towards which I have myself gravitated greatly. And that's what has become a fertile ground as well as the umbrella which we use for our groups, for our programs in groups and online events, live events, all accompanying these insights taken freely from the body of knowledge, which is Tantric Shaivism is known for. always, of course, allocating it with our first-hand personal experiences. So this is what I wanted to draw your attention to first and foremost.